Hi, in this video we're gonna learn how to create a single player decision task. Before, in the Ultimatum game, we have seen that we have multiple players synchronizing on the same step and they advance as a group. In the decision task, each player plays independently from the others, and the logic orchestrates what is needed to save the data necessary for the experimenter. Let's learn how to do it and how to create a new game. We can start here from the command line, the main installation folder of NodeGame, and I remember we are on version 6. So we go into the bin folder, press enter, we are inside there. Inside the bin folder there is a few files, and we are interested in using the NodeGame file. The NodeGame file allows the developer to create new games, and as well as a couple of new features which we're not talking about in this video. The main one is to create games. So let's try to create a new game. If you do this for the first time, you will see that it will ask you for some configuration, like your name and the installation folder. You keep your all defaults. I'm going to redo it on my computer, so because I have already done it, so I can show you how it looks like. You invoke it as a standard Node.js program with a node and the name NodeGame. And then before creating a new game, I'm gonna show you how to update the configuration. This will pop up automatically for you if you do it for the first time. So just keep all defaults. This is asking where is the default installation of NodeGame folder. This is because it needs to save the new game in that folder. Ask for your name, your email. That's it, and the configuration is saved. Once you've done this step, you can create a new game with the create game command. So it takes one parameter, which is the name of the game. We're going to call it my new game. And you can take additional parameters if you want to override the default name and email, but we will not do that. Okay, so it starts to ask you some questions. Is this a single player game? And it gives you some examples of what the single player game is. So we're gonna say yes here. We're gonna have a single player game. Then it asks you a question which is a bit unclear. You don't need to specify a secret passphrase. So this is actually used to encrypt the data which is exchanged with the server. So if you want to force one particular, otherwise you just press enter. And this is actually important, your admin username, which is used to enter the monitor interface. I'm going to put something simple like my first name, at least the beginning of it, and the password I'm going to repeat the same in this case. And you can also change the description into something which is meaningful for you. In this case, it just tells you that the default game, which will be modifying it is a guessing game. That's it. The game was created. It says well done, thank you. This says the copyright strings, how it looks like. You see it uses our data which we inputted before. We use the template as a guessing game. It starts with the default license from MIT. You can change it if you're not comfortable with that. It's a license that allows users to do anything they want with your code. This is where it was saved. It says saved in games available, and we'll see that actually there is a link also in the games folder, and that admin configuration file, admin configuration was stored inside this file channel.credentials. Okay, just to check that the file was there, so we're going to the into the games available folder, the games available, and we do ls, how do we call it, my new game. You see it's here, but the game is also inside the games folder. See, this is actually linked to the games available. The games folder is the one which contains the games which are loaded by the server, and the games available is a folder which you can use for storing games you don't want the server to load right now. But let's have a look how the game looks like. First of all, let's just start it. So here we are on the home page of the server. We see that my new game is over here. If you click here, there is the description that we just gave. Click play demo. So we are in the instructions page. See, the game is very simple. There is a randomly generated number, and you just have to guess whether that number is below or above 5. The number is between 1 and 10. Just press done. There is a small understanding quiz. So we're playing this alone as a single player, and we can earn 1 coin in each round. That's great. Okay, smaller than or equal to 5 or larger than 5. Let's say larger than 5. And we lost. The number was 1, and we said it was greater than 5. I'm going to put it even bigger. Again, was the number is the number larger? Let's say smaller. So this time we won. We say again smaller. We lost. So let's try larger. And this time we won. And we played all the 4 rounds of the game. Let's look at the source code of the game in Atom. We can open a new project folder with the shortcut Ctrl-Shift-NA. So here it is. We go to my new game. Here it is. It is open. Let's have a look at the game folder, which is the most relevant for us. Here's the game stage we just played. Instructions, quiz, game repeated for 4 times, which consists of 2 steps, and then the game is over. The client types are very important. Let's look at the player first. You see it's actually quite similar to the player client type in a multiplayer game. It's only with the only difference we see that we are disabled the wait screen. The wait screen is that gray screen that says that it's waiting for other players when they are done. In this case, it's just 1 player, so it is not needed. So this is a useful command to have it here. Unlike what we've seen before, we also want to start with the visual timer hidden. So this is a useful option to know in case you don't need a timer right away. In the instruction, we've already seen this, how to replace some text on the screen with the settings of the game using the w.setInnerHTML method. This is the ID of an element on the page. It is the value we want to replace. See, we replace how many coins, how many rounds, and the value of each coin. We have a quiz, and again, we haven't seen very much how to configure we haven't seen how to style the page. But the CSS rule command is actually quite handy because it's kind of a quick and dirty way of styling the page without creating any other file. This is a quiz. We've seen this into the survey video, so we're not going to do it. Similarly, this is how the main widget step, where we ask for the decision below or above 5. We don't see the widget options because we've seen in the survey video, but we can see a couple of interesting things. So in the init function, we are actually making the visual timer visible. Here it is. And in the done callback, which it is executed as soon as the done button is pressed, we are modifying the return values from the widget. And we say we want to change the string, which is chosen, larger than 5 or smaller than 5, to a boolean. So we just want to send true greater equal true if the user selected this. This is what the server is going to receive, an object containing greater equal true or false. In the timeout function, this is also useful to remind, it's executed in case there is a timeout event. Here we are setting a random value on the widget, and then we're invoking node.done, which in turn will execute the done callback and make the game go around. Here we have the result step, right after the server processed the information. We haven't yet seen the server, but it's easy to understand what's going on. We want to set the timer to 0, and we're just waiting for the result from the server. In this case, we actually proactively asking the result to the server using the node.get. It is equivalent to have a node.say sending a message and have a node on data. Node.get does both of the things at once, so that's why it's handy to have less code. So we asking for the results, and here we are just entering the information on the page, whether it was greater or smaller, our choice. We are repeating that, and we display which random number was chosen and if we won or not. We also restart the visual timer here, so as soon as we got the decision displayed, we want to have 5 seconds. And then we also want to automatically call done after those 5 seconds. Very nice. Without the user need to press anything. Well, if the user will press it, of course this timeout will be deleted and will not happen. In the last step, we're just having the end screen loaded and will take care of everything. And on top of that, we are destroying the widgets which are no longer needed, the done button and the timer. Okay, this is pretty standard. It's very similar to a multiplayer game. The real difference happens in the logic. So here we have, I make it even bigger because this is where we need to learn what's happening. So this is the first command that we set. We're saying that this is a single player game, basically by telling the logic be independent from the position of the other players in the game. So this is done by setting the step rule. So it just the step rule says when is the game supposed to the next step. In this case, the step rule solo means that the game is just waiting for a node.done event to be called inside this file, not disregarding whatever the other players are doing. So we have only one large set_on_init function here, and everything is specified in here. There is no need to add any extend step command. You see the last one is on game over, which is not specified. And you see the difference. You see on the player, we need to specify what happens in every step, but the logic is just waiting for the decision of the players to come in, so we just have the set_on_init here. Let's see what we do. This is the feedback and the email view, which just saved the feedback form and the email from the player from the last step of the game. Then we have a new view called win, where we want to save exactly the decision of the player, whether they won or not. An interesting comment to know is the adapter is a property that says that allows you to have different header from the actual content of the items in the database. So in this case, we are saying that the number column in the CSV file should actually use the random number property of the items in the database. The random number is actually mapped to a number. Here it is. This is a quite handy command. So there is an event listener also in the database. So whenever we are inserting a new item here, we are checking whether we are in the guessing step. So we do this by using the node.game isStep command. You want to know, is this a guess step? Is this item coming from the guess step? You know, the logic does not go through the steps, only the players do. So we want to know whether the item, which contains the stage of the player, is actually belonging to the guess step. If so, what we do is that we check whether this is greater is equal to true. See that comes from this line here, where we are sending an object, which may be greater, equal true, or either true or false. And we generating a random number, and we are checking whether the player guessed the random number correctly. Then we add the random number and whether the player won or not into the item. We're just modifying the item. This will be added to the database. And if the player won, we also are updating the winning into the game room database for the number of coins that the players that are specified in the settings. So here's how the logic actually responds to the get command. here in the result step, the player sends a get result. To reply to the get result, you need to specify node.on and type get.result. And there is a handler function here. The memory database already separates the item by player. So in this case, you want to go to the collection of items from the player who sent us the message, which is message.from containing the ID of the player. I want to just take the last item which we added, which is just a guess. So we are sending it back with the information that we added above. So here we added 2 lines, the random number and whether you want or not, and here we just package it again, send it back into this return statement. So whether it's returned here from this get result function, it actually arriving to the player in here. Yes, so this is the data is actually equal to what we just sent with these 3 property: greater, random number, and win. And we have one last listener. Whenever the player is done, what we're doing, we are checking the step ID. So we're getting the step ID of the player. And if this is the result step and we are playing the last round, so the round inside the stage object of the message is equal to the last round in settings.round. In this case, we compute the bonus for the player. So whatever, so it's the sum of the correct answers. We save it to file, and we also want to send it to the player. And that's it. And in this occasion, we also saved the time, so the time that occurred to make every decision. So here it is. So we can try a little modification just to check whether we have understood the get result. Actually, this is actually interesting. So we can, for example, add another property here. So we're going to send the message along. So if the player won, we're going to say you are great. And instead, if the player lost, we're going to say tough luck with a sad face, because that maybe makes it less sad. Okay, and then we need to update the player accordingly. So we are here, just add a new line, and we add something and yes, so we are here. We want to add the last line. So we do something slightly different. Instead of using the set in HTML, we do it instead of using the set inner HTML method, we fetch the element. Oops. With the get w.get command. And we do it basically what set in HTML would do. Using the plus equal sign, which means that we are adding to the inner HTML instead of replacing it. We don't need to do that. Actually, yes, we do one space, and then we use the data.message. Okay, let's try it. Skip this, let's see. So let's try. Is the number going to be smaller than 5? Let's try. Yeah, we won and we are great. Let's try again. Yes, it's going to be larger than 5 again. And we won again. I want to see the other message too. It says, hey, smaller. Ah, we're very good. Smaller. Ah, we lost. Tough luck. All right, that was it. Thank you so much.